Hey friends, Curtis with Smart Social here. I want to do a little video talking about, what is it like to be an entrepreneur? What is it like to run your own business, to do those things? I think we hear a lot of people that kind of make it a big deal, make it sound like, they romanticize the idea of being an entrepreneur. Oh, you get to make all this money, be your own boss, and it's so cool, and work your own hours, and, sit on the beach with your laptop and stuff like that. And, you know, that's not the way it is. I mean, it can be that way. You can have some great moments and things. Most of the time, it's not going to be that way. So let's talk about more of the raw, real side of entrepreneurship. What are the things that really go on as an entrepreneur that people don't talk about? What are the things that you don't think about or you don't realize when you want to be an entrepreneur? And this is the same whether you're going to be a freelancer or build a business or anything like that. There's newer terms for the same thing that's always been around. So let's talk about some of these things. Okay, now I've been self-employed for over 20 years now, and have no retirement to prove it. And there's a lot to being an entrepreneur. So I just want to kind of create a conversation with us about these things of what is it like to be an entrepreneur. My two favorite jokes that I love to say when talking about entrepreneurship is one, that the best part of entrepreneurship is you only have to work half a day. In fact, you get to pick which 12 hours that is. That's a good joke. I like to tell that one because it is. Entrepreneurship can easily occupy everything about your life, for good and for bad. And that's one of the challenges you have, is when you become an entrepreneur, you will quickly feel a sense of weight on you. You will quickly feel like you're only going to be successful at the speed at which you can achieve a certain goal. So the faster you get to this goal, the faster you build your business, the faster you grow, the more successful you will be. And there is truth in that. That does make sense. The thing to understand though is that entrepreneurship can be all encompassing. The point is it doesn't have to be. You don't have to allow it to take over everything. It wants to. It wants to do that. And so you just got to realize that that's the challenge. So I want to talk again a little bit more raw about these things, which is why I'm not, I'm wearing a hat. I haven't even comb my hair yet today. I've just got an old t-shirt on. In fact, this is a free t-shirt I got from a conference I went to many years ago. Start SLC. Shout out to those guys. Awesome conference. It worked really, really well. I wish this conference would come back. Now you might be saying, "Hey, but Curtis, that conference still is there. Clint Betts is still doing it. It's called Silicon Slopes." And I'll tell you, that's not Start SLC. That's a different conference. Clint went in a different direction, probably not so much because he wanted to. He wanted to grow. He wanted to have more success in what he was doing, be able to help more entrepreneurs out through what he was putting together. And Josh James and a bunch of other guys jumped on and helped him. And I'm not saying what they're doing is bad, but it's not Start SLC. Silicon Slopes has become something different. That's what we have a whole other video about that sometime later. The thing to realize is you're going to have a lot of work to do as an entrepreneur, and it's going to feel all encompassing. Okay, you're going to wear many hats in your business, and you'll have a feeling that you are always behind. You'll have a feeling that you're always trying to catch up. And it's a constant feeling. You're going to feel that a lot. In fact, if you have felt that, I'd love to hear your comments about it in the comment section. What does that feel like to you? That feeling like you can never get caught up. You're always busy, always doing things. It never goes away. And that's the thing that ruins your vacations, in fact, is that feeling of I'm getting behind every day I'm not working. That's so common. And we all feel it, we all experience it. And it's not bad necessarily to experience that, but you do need to realize that it doesn't have to ruin your life. Oftentimes we get into a situation where we are because of that feeling, it dominates everything. We just have to keep going. We have to keep moving. We have to keep pushing forward. I'll tell you, that feeling never goes away. It just keeps going because there's always more to do. Because as you build your business, it wants to expand. And as you expand, there's a whole new level of work that has to be done to allow it to expand. And once you reach a certain level of expansion, there's a whole nother level of work that has to be done to get to the next level of expansion. So it never goes away. Never, never, never goes away. Never, ever, ever wear this badge of I'm so busy I can't do anything else as a badge of honor in entrepreneurship. That is a terrible thing. Just don't do that. It's so bad. Realize that you have to take control of your schedule. Because this is something you have to think about. Now, this feeling, there's the second joke I like to say about entrepreneurship kind of goes along with this feeling. This feeling, so here's the second joke. And I'll explain that feeling a little bit more. So the entrepreneurship is like skydiving, except instead of jumping, instead of putting on a parachute, going in your plane, jumping out of the plane, pulling the parachute, landing, having a good time, you jump out of the parachute with a bunch of nylon fabric and a thread and needle, and you have to sew your parachute together and put it on before you hit the ground. That's what entrepreneurship feels like. So that's what that overwhelming feeling feels like. If I don't get all this done within a certain period of time, we're going to blow up and die. And you know what? There are some times where that can actually happen. Like you're trying to get a certain amount of marketing done in a certain period of time because you have to hit a certain point. And if you get beyond that point, the marketing's not going to be effective anymore. So there are some things like that. You might have, if you have investors, you're going to have a runway, whether that's equity investors or debt. Either way, if you have money, outside money coming in, you are absolutely going to feel that push of the runway. I only have so far to go, and it ends. It's like trying to get a plane running. You're in this little plane. You're trying to get it running, and it's sputtering and challenging. You're trying to get it up to speed and get it running properly. So you're fixing the plane while you're driving the plane down this runway. And at the end of the runway is a huge cliff. And you have to get that up to enough speed and get the engine working properly enough. So when you hit that spot, you can take off. Otherwise, you're going down into the canyon and you're going to crash and burn. That's kind of some ideas of what that overwhelming feeling feels like. And again, if you have investors, you're going to feel that even more than if you don't. So that is one of the things that's always important to consider is investment versus bootstrapping. If you bootstrap, you're still going to feel the feeling, but it's not as bad because you don't have other people pushing you in that direction to kind of amplify that feeling, basically, because they want to have their money back in a certain period of time, and they know you need to hit certain milestones in order to do that. Now, I'm not saying one way is better than the other necessarily. Out of all the entrepreneurs, hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs that I've talked with and that I know, they all say if you can bootstrap it, do it. I mean, there's some ventures you're going to need a lot of money to do it. There are certain levels of business you won't attain to unless you have a certain amount of money that you can put into it to get it going. If you are in the startups phase, you're in a brand new phase, bootstrap it as best as you can. You are going to do so much better. If you've never been involved in business before, this is your first venture into business, bootstrap. And that just means you just buckle down and you make it work. You do a cash business, basically. What can I do to make this a cash business? Once you've got a cash business bootstrapped to the point where it's cash flowing and it's working, that's when the investors will love you and want to do more. And that's when you're going to get better opportunities, okay? So realize if you're doing investments, and we'll probably do a whole nother video on this by itself, if you're looking for an investment for the purpose of helping you move your idea forward, you're like, I've got an idea, but now I need someone to run the company and put it together, and an investor mentor that can kind of step in and take it and run, and I'll just be their assistant and do what they say. No, that doesn't work. That does not work at all. Okay. If you're coming to somebody with an idea and you are wanting them to run it and you want them to, like for instance, Shark Tank, if you're going to go on Shark Tank for the whole purpose of, I just want to take my idea and plug it into one of those investors' networks and just let them and their network run with this idea, and I'll just be their assistant on this idea and run with it. Okay, you need to scale back your value of your business that you're asking for by a factor of 10. Okay, if that's what it is, take whatever value you think your idea is worth, and then realize that that's you need to come down by a factor of 10. Okay, your real value is about 1/10 of what you think it is, because an idea isn't worth very much. And this is why you run into problems, because the idea itself, anybody can do an idea, anybody can think up ideas. It's the execution that's the hard part. Coming up with the idea is 10% of the effort of an entrepreneur. Figuring out how to get that to run is the other 90%. That's the hard part. You learn how to do that 90%, you can step into any idea and run it and have success. That's the thing you have to think about. So when you go to an investor, you don't want just an idea. If you show up to an investor, I got an idea, it's not proven, I'm hoping you will help me prove it out, and you'll kind of, I'm going to promote this as I'm the entrepreneur that's going to run this, but secretly I want you to actually run the whole thing because I have no idea what I'm doing. You're going to get, like I says, you need to scale down. Your 10%, your real value is about 10% of what what you think you should be asking for. Or what you want to have to ask for that from that investor. But anyways, the thing to realize, entrepreneurship sucks. It really sucks. It's hard. It's a lot of hard work. And so I want to talk more about these kind of, we could call this pulling the Band-Aid off series of videos. We're going to talk about that, how to be an entrepreneur. And when I talk about entrepreneur, you realize there's multiple kinds of entrepreneurs out there. Okay. There are entrepreneurs that run big businesses. They manage a big corporation. They run lots of stuff. They're doing great in the big world stuff, making lots of money, recurring revenues in the hundreds of millions of dollars, things like that. That you can have entrepreneurs at that level. You can have entrepreneurs with your investment. So you're starting these startup companies, you're running them, scaling them quick, doing those kinds of things. That's where you get into your tech accelerators and stuff like that. Great. There's entrepreneurs that'll go and do that. Then you have entrepreneurs who are going to bootstrap it. They're just going to run it with their own credit cards. They're going to mortgage their house. They're going to borrow money from friends and family. They're just going to, use customer receipts, get the customers to pay in advance, and then sell it and get them the product later or whatever. They're going to bootstrap it and they're going to run. And those are great entrepreneurs too. And then you've got entrepreneurs who it's just them. They just own a job. Okay, there is a difference, and we'll probably do another video on this about the difference between a business owner and self-employed. In fact, we did a video we have a course online that we did. We talked about that there. It's okay to just own your job, and that's your whole point is you're controlling the whole process of keeping yourself employed. Not a bad place to be. Lots and lots of tradespeople will do this. A lot of craftsmen, a lot of skilled people, even in web development. You'll have one person, it's just them building websites and doing graphic design for people. That's okay. That is a type of entrepreneur. We're going to talk about those more. And then there's salespeople, independent salespeople. If you're working on a commission basis, even if you have a small base plus commission, you are a bit of an entrepreneur, okay? In fact, you're learning the number one skill an entrepreneur needs to learn, which is how to sell. So you're not far from being like one of these other types of entrepreneurs out there. So whichever way you see yourself on these, we're talking to you. These videos are for you. If you've just started your business, you're going to learn a lot of information from this. If you've been in business, I'm looking forward to your comments to hear what you think about entrepreneurship and the concepts we're going to talk about. So just a fun series of videos just to get into what is it like to be an entrepreneur. It's hard. It sucks. It's a stress like you've never had. It is work like you've never worked. It is so much easier to just get a job. It's so much easier. And I've seen this so often. I did a tech accelerator about a decade ago. I went through a tech accelerator and I learned something really fascinating from that tech accelerator. In fact, it was pretty wild. So I ran a company through a tech accelerator. We did pretty good. We got out of the accelerator. We were one of the first fully funded businesses, I think, that came out of that one. as far as getting those commitments and the term sheets and stuff done. It was great. Um, and then I got voted out of that business, and so I was gone, basically out of it. So I had to bootstrap again and get going. So I learned a lot from that whole process. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But I was talking with some of the investors and mentors of that program later on, and I discovered something that was really interesting that they look at in these tech accelerators is they like the idea that you bring and that you do these things, but what they do is what they're actually looking for is what are you going to do next. So they know the odds are not great that the current business you're running with is going to fly and do really, really well. It's rare. In fact, I think in the cohort I was in, there was 10 businesses. I only know of one of them that's still alive today out of all 10 of them. Most of them have gone away. And that one is doing really well, and they were just an awesome company from the start. They did really, really good. Shout out to 4Up, by the way. You guys did awesome. Kudos to all of you guys. The founding original founders, as well as those that are still there running it today. So you guys did great. Awesome stuff. My company failed. We were one of the ones that failed. It failed after I had left it, but we did fail. And the thing is they look for what are you going to do next? What happens when you run into this monumental problem, your business collapses, what do you do next? And that's what they look for. A lot of people that I went through that class with got jobs afterwards. Now, I'm not saying it's bad for them to get a job afterwards. Just realize I'm not putting a meaning to what they did. I'm just saying that they made a choice. Rather than start another business, rather than do something else like that, they got jobs. Some of them did go into sales, independent sales stuff, but some just went and got jobs, basically. Just an hourly wage in the trades or other things like that. And that's not bad. So they had to make the choice that they had to make. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Being like super serious entrepreneur, it's not for everybody. And I can tell you that after 20 years of being an entrepreneur, I've got emotional scars and some physical scars and things to prove that it's hard. You've got to really love doing this. You've got to love it. Not just be passionate about what you're doing, the business you're running. You have to have a why behind your business. You have to know what's important with that. And you have to be willing to make sacrifices to be successful, to do those things. It takes a lot of work. It is a lot of effort to put this together. So, man, there's just so much to say. We need to do a bunch of other videos. So stick around. We're going to continue to teach and just rip the Band-Aid off, open up the curtains, shed some daylight into entrepreneurship to help you in being a better entrepreneur and realize we're all going through the same thing. We're all going through it. And we are here to help.